May I have your attention? I'd like to call the meeting to order of the County Commissioners for this special meeting, April 24, 2017, 7 p.m. First, I would like to welcome all the citizens that are from all different parts of our county, different municipalities. We know this is something that is dear to your heart, and we're going to be talking about sales tax in just a few minutes. But I do appreciate the attendance. I appreciate personally the phone calls, the emails, and I hope I replied to each one that I received. I think I talked with everyone that called me, and I appreciate your interest in this very important matter. Before we get into the discussion, though, I would like to call on Commissioner Eford to lead us in invocation and a pledge of allegiance. Commissioner Eford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you don't mind, I'm going to read a few verses here. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks unto the God of gods, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endureth forever. To him alone doeth great wonders, and his mercy endureth forever. Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we humbly come to you tonight, thanking you for this day. And Lord, it tells us in your word to give thanks. And we are here so thankful that we can come and gather. And we thank you so much for the much needed rain you sent our way. Lord, we pray for each and every one here. Lord, we pray especially for our county. We pray for those who are sick and afflicted. Pray, Lord, just wrap your loving arms around them and be with them. And Lord, we especially pray for wisdom as we make the decisions of this county. These things I ask in your precious name I pray. Amen. If you would, stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Eford. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve or either adjust the agenda.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make one amendment on the agenda. On item 1, local sales tax distribution discussion, I would like to move the public comment before our board discussion to give the citizens an opportunity to speak. So I make that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second that we allow the public comments to be made before the board discusses this local sales tax distribution. Any questions? All those in favor of allowing the public comment section to be moved first, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So at this time, instead of doing the local sales tax distribution discussion by the board, we have 14 people that have signed up tonight, and I have to think that all 14 are here to talk about sales tax reallocation. And I would ask that each speaker, if you could, limit your time to 3 minutes or less. And at this time, I would like to recognize, in the order that they signed, Mayor Ronnie Michaels. Welcome, Mayor.
Chairman Lawhorn and Commissioners, thank you. Sales tax distribution is a topic that a week ago very few people thought would be even considered as a potentially devastating topic to our city or town. Tonight you are considering an issue that will destroy some of the Stanley County smaller towns and severely hamper those that could survive. Citizens are extremely concerned about this proposed change and how it will affect them. Cities and towns are typically the economic engine for our community. And by that I mean we have retail and industry mostly located inside of one of the municipalities instead of out in the county. You know the numbers that have been presented to you tonight and how it will affect each municipality. So I'm not going to talk about each one of them, but I am going to mention Albemarle. $679,000 on top of the $90,000 we lost just this year when the hospital merged is a number that would tremendously impact our budget. Some may say this is a reevaluation year and you will gain extra funds. Well, according to the numbers released by your county tax collector, we will receive just a little over 1% difference, or less than the $90,000 we lost just in the hospital merger. Where does that leave us? If you go through with this change tonight, we will be forced to raise our taxes 7 cents just to remain where we are today, and that does not allow for any growth for the future. The county has stated that you need funds for schools. I do not disagree with that, as I have actively supported the 1/4% sales tax for schools. The citizens of our county have spoken and do not want this increase. Why now are we considering something so drastic? If needed, should we support the citizens of our county and not exclusively based on the backs of our municipal residents? Let me repeat that. All residents of our county should support this and not just the municipal residents. According to the latest numbers, the county would be required to raise property tax about 3.5% to raise the same amount of money. Personally, I don't think you need the entire amount of money at one time, so this could be a gradual increase to affect what you want to accomplish. I am asking you to rethink your plans and do this in the fairest way to all residents and not destroy the cities and towns, the economic engines of our community. If you move forward, you are setting our economic development efforts backwards. We need to be working together to bring jobs, industrial development, and retail to our community. This would increase property tax and help with our schools without destroying the cities and towns. You just hired an economic development director that will be trying to attract new business. This proposal would make his job even more difficult in a time when we need to grow industry and not lose due to our cities drying up or decaying because of one decision. I encourage you to stop consideration of this path of harm to our cities and the county, and remember what is good for the cities is good for the county. If you harm the cities, you will harm our county. You hold the future of many cities in your hands tonight. Promote progress or community destruction. The decision is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This time I would like to recognize Benny Bowers. Benny?
Thank you. My name is Benny Bowers. I reside in Stanley County at 817 Sylvania Avenue in Albemarle. I'd like to thank you, the chairman, and the commissioners for allowing public input. My favorite definition of economics is the allocation of society's scarce resources among the never-ending and endless wants and needs of society. The county is composed of incorporated and unincorporated areas, which I will call municipalities. Some service needs are best met most efficiently met through the county. Some services and needs are most efficiently met more locally through municipal budgets. As municipal residents benefit from both services of the city and county, they pay both city and county taxes. All governmental units are required to have balanced budgets. I don't believe there are significant excesses in any of the budgets. I do believe all the budgets, county and all the municipalities, are under constant pressure to do more with what they have. There is little overlap between services provided by the county and the municipalities. For example, in Allman, police and fire make up over 55% of the Albemarle budget. If you add public works, streets, garbage, warehouse, you're up to around 75%. For the county, education, and human services make up 52% roughly of the budget. Added public safety brings it to 76% of their budget. The discussion here involves no new or additional monies, simply a redistribution of monies from one tight budget to another. Much like two holes in a dam, if you had only two fingers, you could use two fingers to significantly curtail the flow of water through both holes. Or you could use both fingers to plug one hole almost entirely and watch the flow of water pour through the other. In Stanley County's case, a change from the per capita method simply takes monies being distributed to the incorporated communities and in their budgets and allows the county to incorporate it into its separate budget. In effect, the change would be forcing municipalities to significantly reduce their services or significantly raise their taxes to expand the county budget, and for items that are not at this point specifically identified. Counties must choose one of two methods to distribute local option sales tax remitted from the state between the county and municipalities therein or comprising or within the county, either the per capita or ad valorem methods. Since at least the 1980s, the county has used the per capita method for distributing these monies. County demographics, tax base, needs, density of population, et cetera, vary so much between the different counties that 53 counties have chosen one technique and 47 the other. One method does not best meet the needs of each and all counties and municipalities therein. Most decisions we face are legal and have alternatives. The county commissioners have the legal right to change the method of distribution. However, generally decisions are made on what is most fair, equitable, reasonable, just, the right decision. Please don't change the method of distribution. Given our county the distribution of its population, the needs of incorporated and unincorporated areas that make it up, this is not a desired or warranted change. In my opinion, it would be the most detrimental action I have ever heard of from this county. For example, equality, as noted previously, would better be met through a tax increase on all the counties, on all the citizens of Stanley County, which would be much less than would be required by either reducing or increasing the taxes on only the municipalities. The separate budgets don't have excess of any magnitude now. Trying to do this gradually is not the answer. There is no new money. Delaying the action for a year just postpones the damage and pain to the municipalities. The damage is far too great to be warranted to change the method of distribution for local sales tax currently being used by the county. I appreciate the opportunity to present this to you. I appreciate the fact that you wanted to hear and to discuss this before making a decision. Thank you.
Like to recognize Ruth Godwin.
Bill, my name's Godwin.
My name's Lawhorn, not Lawhorn too, so. I never had an R in my name, but people like to add one, so.
Well, I didn't call your last name. I am so impressed with all your constituents who have come here tonight, and I think it's wonderful that they have become so concerned. I'd like to remind you that the last national convention, people are fed up with smoke and mirrors. I heard that some of you were going to pass this and without the knowledge of all of you knowing it. I just want you to know that you represent us. We voted for you. An election will come again.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ms. Godwin.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. The next one that I want to call on, I believe, you write so fancy, I can't read your name. I think it's Jim Dalton.
No, it's Dan Dalton.
Dan, sorry, the D looked like a J to me. Sorry about that.
And I have to follow that, huh? And I do want to apologize for my handwriting, but I do want to thank all of you very much for allowing us to address you before you vote. My name is Dan Dalton. I'm a resident of Baden, and I also happen to be the president of Better Baden. Up until about 5 years ago, my wife and I were living in the rat race in Charlotte. We came to Baden to slow down and enjoy the simple life. We wanted, I better put my glasses on, I'm not gonna be able to read this. We came to Baden to slow down and enjoy the simple life. We wanted a home where our grandchildren could come to have fun with Gigi and Pop, that's my wife and I. And we absolutely love our new home, and we love Baden. The proposition that has been made is a major threat to Baden and all small towns in North Carolina. Please do not destroy our homes simply for money. Life is about much more than money. Please allow historic Baden and many other small towns continue. We are the backbone of America. And I wanted to let everybody who's here representing Baden to please stand. And anybody who's representing any small town in North Carolina, please stand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan, and I apologize for not being able to read your
My
name.
handwriting.
It's beautiful, beautiful handwriting, I just couldn't read it.
I'm a psychologist.
Okay, that's okay. Let me recognize Terry Allman.
Good evening. Greetings and salutations from everyone in Richfield, all 625 or so of us. As you'll be able to tell as I try to speak to you folks, I'm not a good public speaker, and especially when in an environment like this, but I hope I can get my point across. And I certainly appreciate all of you. The job that you do is, you don't get any thanks for it. And you can't please everyone, I know. I'd just like to say that please don't do this. In your proposal, Richfield would lose $83,000. We just really, that makes up about 25% of our total budget, not counting sewer. Sewer is the big deal. He's the elephant in the room in Richfield, as you all probably know. But I just want to, we have only 2 full-time employees in Richfield. Ms. Carolyn Capps is our administrator. She does a fantastic job. We have hired a new young guy from Gold Hill and put the sewer burden on his shoulders. I'll put it like that. Cutting services would just have to be it would just have to come. We're in the process that we have set a date of July 18 to try to start a police department. We currently spend $30-some-odd thousand with our sheriff. We're pleased with what he's producing, but we want more. We can't ask the sheriff to go out and talk to our people about issues that concern Richfield. So we're just we're between a rock and a hard place. I know you've said that you want this money for law enforcement, education. We're losing students by the droves that are going out of county or to other private schools. I think Mr. Eford came up and talked to us about the 1/4-cent sales tax, did a fantastic job, him and Mr. Asciuto, and appreciate their coming. I think he stated there was something like 1,500 students that are being homeschooled in Stanley County, something to that effect. We need to find out why. Why are all these folks not going to public schools? I've about run my mouth long enough, and I hope, I just want to say thank you for all you do. You've got a tremendous decision to make tonight, but please, and I'm using the word please, don't hurt the small towns in our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allman. This time I'd like to recognize Chris Bramlett.
Chairman Lawhorn, after Sally Godwin's great speech, I don't know that I need to say much of anything. I was here at the last meeting when this came up, and what kept going through my mind is, why on earth did this even come up? Who thought of this? Of all the things I've seen go on in this county in quite a few years, this is the most absurd one that I think anybody's come up with. Is our county in distress to the extent that it requires taking $1.8 million away from our cities and towns and putting it in our county budget, knowing full well that what the cities and towns do, we're going to have to go back and raise taxes by that $1.8 million to recover so that we can still provide the services that we've been providing? I just don't get it. I've never understood allocating sales taxes on the basis of ad valorem value. Trees and farmland don't pay sales taxes, people do. And I've had the understanding that our county was in pretty good financial shape. I understand we have a good fund balance. We're not really hurting at that level. So I just ask you and just state over and over again, why on earth did it ever come up? Please don't do this.
Thank you, Mr. Bramlett. This time I'd like to recognize Mayor Kevin Barbie from Stanfield.
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for giving us an opportunity to at least have a chance to talk to you a little bit about our feelings, of which you've heard many, and I'll try not to repeat a lot of them, even though they're probably worth repeating. Stanfield, you'd knock our legs out from under us. Just to put it simply in numbers, 15 cents on the 100. We got a 32-cent tax rate. That's a 50% increase just to maintain things where they're at now. That doesn't sound like county and towns working together. That sounds like something else. The town of Stanfield, I heard you mention schools, I heard you mention police departments. The towns, but I'll specifically talk about Stanfield since I'm a little bit familiar with that town, is our police department provides policing that helps the community, but it also helps outside of the community. Every time the county sheriff's department asks for help outside of Stanfield, whose police officers go help? It's ours, and we don't send you a bill. So if you start taking away our police department, we're not going to be able to help the county with those services. Stanfield has a big, broad area from there to Rocky River that the community services serve the community, not just Stanfield, but they're paid for by stuff that Stanfield has to pay for. Ball games, all these communities provide sports facilities for kids inside of towns and outside of towns. If you take away our funds to do that, what are the kids going to do when we can't keep the ball fields up and can't keep them open? Our kids are important. If you want to keep down crime, one of the best ways to do that is to have your kids involved in stuff, and one of those things is sports. we want to help make the county better. And what I ask you tonight to do is consider helping us make the county better, because if you take our funds away, we're either going to have to punish our citizens that help to pay the majority of those taxes that this county gets. Because I can look at that and I can see myself, I drive back and forth to Charlotte every day, okay, like a lot of people do, to have a place to work. I don't get tax breaks on the cost of my car or what I have to pay for gas. I have to pay all of those taxes, and they come back in some form or another because people pay those taxes. They should be distributed and continue to be distributed among the people that pay the taxes, and not based on farmland that doesn't pay taxes as far as sales tax. Folks, please keep the funding in the town so that we can continue to provide the level of services that make Stanley County and the communities we live in great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Barbie. At this time, Richard Allman.
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Like many of those gathered here tonight, I am concerned with the direction that some of you on the board want to seem to take with our county. I am concerned because some of you, excuse me, I am concerned because some of those leading this charge have said for several years that this county doesn't need more tax dollars and that our schools are just fine with the current funding. We as an entire county need to come together, unified, in an effort to move our county forward. We should do this so that we might provide more and better opportunities for all of our citizens. I am concerned about your direction, but I'm even more concerned about your methods. Your attempt to govern in the shadows without due process and proper vetting leads us not to a shared vision, but rather to distrust and chaos. If your ideas are worthwhile and offer a true vision for a better future, then pull back the curtains and allow the public to understand and offer input as a part of the process. Tonight is not how you planned it, so this doesn't count as due process or proper vetting. Some of you, or some, have speculated that this money, or some of it, will go to the school system. Again, what is exactly going it for? Are each of these municipalities losing money to pay for Oakboro School? The better question is, how many kids will benefit if this is the primary deal for the money for that individual school? I've heard estimates of the kids signing up for the school range from anywhere from 100 to 150. Let's assume 150 kids are signing up for 9 grades. That's an average of less than 17 kids per grade. Greystone, just up the road, recently announced they're opening a middle school. They had over 400 kids to apply for 3 grades rather than 9. They are turning people away because market is greater than capacity. Imagine if our county were to unify with the municipalities and the Board of Education. Imagine if the desire were truly to work together for all of Stanley County rather than for a few. We can have differences of opinion, but if we truly desire to work together to create a product that more people want than we have capacity for. I disagree with the direction that some of you have chosen to take. Worse than that, I distrust you. And that distrust will prevent me from following you or buying whatever it is you attempt to sell us in the future. Doing the right thing, it isn't complicated. I'm just afraid that some of you never cared about doing the right thing in the first place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Allman. Jerry Jordan, Red Cross.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, for your time here tonight. My name is Jerry Jordan. I've been on the town council on Red Cross now for some 12 years. I've served a good part of that time as financial officer. And I hope as you look through this sea of red for every municipality that we're here representing tonight. And of course, I'm here to speak for Red Cross and what it does. We are affected at a rate of 81% is what it takes out of our Red Cross budget. Now you're talking about a budget that's due, preliminary budget's due in a town of Red Cross in 2 weeks. We have no possible way other than taking our tax rate up 24 cents to make up the difference in what you could take away here tonight. And also, I question, like a lot of people in this room do, the timing of this thing. There's 12 months in a year. And all at once, we get blindsided with this in April before we have a budget due in 2 weeks. I have a problem with the fact that this is an agenda amendment is how it came up to begin with. Most of the time, agenda amendments are pieces of business that certainly just clean up a little bit of what the town has to take care of. Not an item of this magnitude was never announced. I just got a phone call myself out of the blue that said, hey, guess what's happening? And I can tell you, to present a budget to the town people of Red Cross is unbelievable. We are not here tonight to say, hey, education doesn't deserve it. They do. I've heard a lot of good comments here tonight about what's wrong with that system. This is not an attempt to say, don't give the sheriff's department a raise. We aren't paying our deputies enough. I think everybody here knows that. We're losing good, qualified people one after another. They have to have the increase. We agree with that. They do a great job for the town of Red Cross. So this is not about those two entities. Let's not make it about that. I know almost every one of you up here, I think, maybe a couple that I don't. And we've had dealings in the past. People, this is not you. This is not the people that I can look across here and read the name tags tonight and say that you're going to do this to the town. It totally guts a town like Red Cross in terms you couldn't believe. If there is a need for revenue, it has to be a permanent fix, not a temporary fix. So whatever the commissioners have to do, they have to do, because you have to run the county. That we understand. But we'd ask tonight, when you take this vote, consider the timing, consider the fact we don't have time to react to this. We don't have the time to adjust to it before you would make a quick decision on something this vitally important to every town. I won't just speak for Red Cross now. I'll say for every town in Stanley County. We thank you for your time, and we feel sure when the time comes to vote, you will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Bryan Lambert, Baden Police Department.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. Unlike most people here tonight, I'm just here to present some facts. Some of you are aware, some may not be, of how we get where we're at. Many people have asked me, why is Baden disproportionate per capita tax? We have the prison. And there are people that would wonder why we should receive funds for the prison and why Meisenheimer should receive funds for its students if you count them as residents. I'm going to address the prison first. I am responsible for all law enforcement at the prison. It is not handled by the state. I had to buy another safe. It is full from top to bottom with drugs. It amounts for half of all our calls in the town. When the aluminum plant began to shut down, the town did annex this to keep the police department open. That's how we operate. This is not free money. I work very hard for it. Every PREA case, every assault, every drug case, we have to go up there and investigate it. If I don't do it, you will. That is just simply how it works. It's math. It's not passion, it's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's math. Same thing at the college. Some people don't like it. Prison is a nasty place. Lots of stuff happens. College is a place that needs law enforcement. College kids drink, prisoners fight. It is what it is. If these departments don't, your county sheriff's department will. They can't handle what they have now. And I want to get that out there. You know, we get a lot of money off of that. The town does. We work for it. It is not free. No one handles the prison but us. If it's not us, it will fall back to the sheriff's department. I've had to dedicate an entire officer just to deal with this. It is the prison. It's not a pretty place. Second thing, all law enforcement affected. We have several chiefs and everyone back here. I'm going to speak for all of them. I think everyone would agree now that there's not enough law enforcement in the county as it is. You understand our concerns when this is presented, that in a worst case scenario, this could have a negative effect on law enforcement. Though people have reassured me that would not happen, but you understand our distrust and our concern. You know, we live in a society right now, the county has chosen to put your paramedics in bulletproof vests. Surely to God, we can't do anything that would jeopardize one law enforcement job if the paramedics have to wear bulletproof vests. It is a difficult job that we've done. I've been here for 27 years. I'm a Pfeiffer graduate. I have lived in this county since 1987. I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs. Normally, I just keep to myself. Everyone here, there, you, and you, your loved ones, if you have to dial 911, everyone becomes religious because you dial it, you hide in the corner, and you pray we get there. All I'm going to say is we cannot, irregardless of the outcome, and I get both sides. I understand both sides. I get it. Most small municipalities, particularly Baden, if we lose funding, it is your police department that will suffer. Whether it's one officer that they lay off or if it's an entire department that would have to go under. That is something your sheriff's office cannot make up. I've talked this year, he does not have the manpower. Right now at Baden, I run 24-hour service and we handle all the prison needs, and there are a lot, for shortly under $400,000 a year. You can write that check one way or another, it's going to be written because these things have to be handled. They're not going to go away. If I go away, someone's going to inherit the mess. So we just ask for your consideration in that, understanding that we cannot afford to lose one law enforcement job in the county. That might be the one that's not there when your loved one needs help. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Caesar, where are you? I'm not about to try to pronounce your last name. You could be a Lawhon because there's a lot of R's in there, so.
It looks a lot like it, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Stanley County Board of Commissioners, Mr. Lucas.
Ladies and gentlemen of Stanley County, good evening. My name is Cesar Correa. I am the city administrator for the city of Locust, and I am here to represent and speak on behalf of the Locust residents and the city council for the city of Locust, which is in its entirety present here this evening. I want to speak to you as a municipal manager professional, and I want to bring three things up to your attention when we consider what the impact of the sales tax distribution would do for Stanley County municipalities. First of all, you need to consider where those sales tax dollars are coming from. A significant majority of them come in from businesses that are located within cities in Stanley County. If you take those dollars away, those businesses will then hurt because there's not one single municipality in here that can make those kind of cuts to their budget to continue to operate the way that we do. Okay. Second, I want you to remember that you have as a public officer, just like myself, you have a fiduciary responsibility to safeguard the use of those tax dollars. Taking those dollars away from municipalities will significantly impact the way that we do operations. And third, but most important, I want you to keep in mind the additional services that the county would have to provide if those dollars go away. You're talking 81% for Red Cross, 47% for Baden. There's no city, again, in this room that can make cuts without cutting their departments, their operations significantly to operate. Everyone in this room would have to raise taxes. And if you have police departments that go away, those services have to be picked up by the county. And that's going to cost the county more money. The money that you will get from this is not going to be sufficient to carry the continuous operations that municipalities have today. So for the last 8 months that I've had the pleasure of working for the city of Locust and Stanley County, I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Lucas. Every time that we get together, there's one phrase that resonates. Strong municipalities make strong counties. When I first came to Stanley County, by way of Midland, I saw a sign that says, Stanley County, a great place to live, work, and raise a family. If we can keep our municipalities operating the way that they do, we can attract people to come here so they can live, work, and raise a family in Stanley County. So on behalf of the City of Locust and the City Council, I respectfully but strongly urge you to reconsider your position and oppose the sales tax distribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Caesar. Ryan Hatley, Baden.
Thank you, Chairman Lawhon. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Ryan Hatley. I am here, not today on behalf of the town of Baden, but on behalf of myself and my family. I grew up in Stanley County, was born here, left Stanley County after I graduated from Albemarle High School, lived in Charlotte for 5 years, lived in Washington, D.C. for 3 years. My wife and I made the decision to come back with our, at the time, 3 children, but now 4, to live in Baden. We chose to move there because we like the community. We like the services that were available in the town. We like the fact that we would know our police officers by name. When I walk my children to school, they are escorted across the street by a Baden police officer. When I pick them up from school, the same thing happens. When I call for service in Baden, I know who will be there because they are members of our community. They provide services to us. Now, there's something else that's important that I can speak of to being someone who is relatively young. I'm 29 years old. Everyone from my graduating class that went to college, I would say, of everyone, I would say about 5 returned to Stanley County. We're talking about 50 people. 5 of them returned to Stanley County. A lot of them stayed in Charlotte. A lot of them stayed in Raleigh or wherever else they went to college. Stanley County is fighting a losing battle. We have an uphill fight to keep young people here and to attract them to Stanley County. Representing the town of Baden, I've come to hear decades worth of stories about how the county and the towns have not worked together. About how the county commissioners in years past would favor some municipalities over others, but would stunt the growth of Baden and other municipalities. We're not going to be able to be successful in the coming decades if that sort of behavior continues. We cannot continue to fight amongst ourselves to carve up the shrinking piece of the pie if we want to compete with places like Charlotte, Raleigh, and Greensboro. We are losing residents to those places. We are losing our young people. They're not coming back. So I ask you today to vote no, to not take from the towns, to bolster your budget some small percentage. And in the future, to remember that if we're going to be successful as a county, that if we're going to compete with the rest of the counties that surround us, that we have to work together, that we have to start treating our job as something that can't be done unless we are all on the same page. Thank you, and please remember that.
Thank you, Mr. Hatley. Tom Hern.
I am Tom Hern and a resident of Albemarle. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I thank you for this opportunity. I will be brief. We have heard of the hardships that this change will create for Stanley County municipalities. What I have not heard are the county's specific plans for this reallocated money. What do you plan to do with this money? It has been often said that no man is an island. Likewise, Stanley County is not an island, and neither are the towns of Stanley County. Stanley County cannot prosper if the towns suffer, and the towns cannot prosper if Stanley County suffers. Our county is made up of people from all walks of life who live in towns and rural communities, and for one to prosper, both must prosper. Our goal should be to lift up all of Stanley County, for you to use your talents, knowledge, and abilities to do the best you can to make all of Stanley County a better place for all. I'll end with this question. What is the much greater good for this community that your ad valorem plan provides? When you know that this change will be very painful and result in many town employees losing their jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hern. Peter Asciutto.
Hey guys, I can tell you, I was very hesitant to come speak today, very hesitant, because as you know, Commissioner Morgan got me kicked off the island by vote in the citizens of Stanley County back in November. But over the last month, I've just seen some things that have just gone way too far. And I need to correct some things that have been said about this to set the record straight, and also to kind of maybe educate some of y'all and get the word out to the people how government actually works. First of all, when I was a county commissioner, I tried my best to go around to visit all the municipalities I could over the 4-year period. The last 2 years after my heart thing, I couldn't get around as much. But if you're an elected official, a municipal elected official, stand up. If you're elected a municipal official around Stanley County, stand up. What you see is decades and decades and decades of experience in these small communities. And with the state of North Carolina, the municipalities are one thing and the county commissioners are another. The county commissioners do not sit above the municipalities. That's just a fact. Now in Stanley County, I'm looking at the way they're rushing things through. And they're doing it technically the right way, but they're doing it the unethical way. And correct me if I'm wrong. If I say anything wrong, please correct me. A few weeks ago, I believe Commissioner Morgan introduced House Bill 257. Was that you that introduced that? The one about the cities having to check with the counties? Who introduced the resolution? One of y'all did. Because Justin Burr passed it. This is the resolution that y'all passed, where the municipalities would have to check with the county commissioners if they get in with any contract with any governmental agency outside Stanley County. Now, I don't know if you realize that Locust is located in 2 counties. So they're already doing a lot of contracts with Cabarrus County. But yet y'all passed it and you want Justin Burr to pass it, because right when y'all it's kind of funny how that wasn't on the agenda. It got added to the agenda, and that same night, Representative Burr got that introduced in Raleigh, that same night. So all these people with decades of experience woke up the next morning to learn this, because how many of y'all knew that in advance? I bet you not any of them. So with 5 months experience, 2.5 years experience, 5 months experience, Commissioner Swain, you feel you have to overlook the municipalities. And you told me, when I asked you specifically, I said, so how come if this passes, why do you feel that these 10 municipalities in Stanley counties, if this resolution is passed in Raleigh and becomes law, what have these people done wrong where you feel that you need to oversee what they are doing in their communities? They would be the only 10 municipalities in the state of North Carolina that have to check with county commissioners when they do. And that brings to this one. So anyway, so there was some criticism how that occurred, okay? There was in the press, you shouldn't have done it, you should have put it on the agenda properly. Did they learn? No. And then when I told them, then the Republicans meet, and pretty much the same thing happens. They do the same type of stuff with Commissioner Burleson leading that meeting, and they kind of rammed, and this all relates to who's sitting and who gets elected in Stanley County, by the way. So that gets ramrodded through without the Republicans actually having a chance to vote for their leadership. And then comes this week. I'm watching the tape. And here comes Commissioner Burleson has to put it on the agenda. And then he goes on to say, we have to do this because we worked on the sales tax and the sales tax didn't pass. Well, there was no we working on the sales tax. I specifically remember going to meetings on behalf of the county commissioners, 5-2 majority voted to support that sales tax, going to the municipalities and trying to pass it. I remember specifically you standing up right behind me and telling those same people that we did not need the money, that we did not need to be the pass. kind of funny that you want to grab $1.7 million now, isn't it? Now, when you were in Norwood, you stood up behind me and you said we did not need the money because there's more than one way to skin the cat. I didn't realize that the municipalities were the cats you were going to skin. And I want to close by saying some people that say that these actions of the Republican Party and some of the commissioners are the acts of a bully, I say no, it's the acts of a coward. The acts of people so afraid to lose. I tell you what, I've lost so many times in my life, it makes the victory so much sweeter. But I'm willing to lose to gain something big. And I can tell you what, there's an email going around that one of the commissioners sent out telling people that they had that resolution the other night that every time you put a discussion up at the county commission meeting, that there's a resolution to vote on it. That is not true. Because I've put many items on the agenda where we have had discussions, and I would not have County Manager Lucas go through the trouble of writing up a resolution if we weren't going to support something. But anyway, I just want to say, just don't be a coward. If you want something passed, present it, put it out there. You know what? We don't need cowards leading us. We need leaders. And leaders sell their program first. And you know what? You're so afraid to raise taxes. You're so afraid to raise that property tax that you're willing to say, how many of y'all watched that video and you saw where Commissioner Burleson ignored Chairman Lawhon's questions the other night? He does the same thing all the time. He doesn't answer questions. But the last thing I'm going to say, if y'all need the money, do your job, have the guts to go out there and sell a property tax increase and justify why you're spending the money.
Thank you, Mr. Asciutto. That concludes the public comment section. At this time, I would like to recognize our County Manager, Andy Lucas, to give us some information about local sales tax distribution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. At your April 27th meeting, the board tabled the discussion of changing local sales tax distribution method from the per capita to ad valorem levy in order to evaluate more data and options. And per the board's direction, the item is being brought back to the board this evening for additional discussion. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, County Manager Lucas. As the board chairman, I would like to make a comment about this important sales tax distribution issue. Stanley County, as far as I know, are made up from unincorporated areas plus our municipalities. And I do know that the city of Albemarle is our county seat. Of all these places, that's what makes Stanley County a great place to live. And I'm glad to call it my home. As a taxpayer and citizen, we all need to be concerned about our neighbors. And I believe we all in here are neighbors. Our towns in the city of Albemarle is where I want to call home. And I want nothing but good things to happen for our community. I've heard, and you probably also have heard this statement, you've heard it tonight. What's good for Stanley County is good for the municipalities of Stanley County. On the other hand, what's bad for our municipalities in the city of Albemarle is bad for Stanley County. Tonight we're going to discuss how sales tax is being distributed. I also know that most sales tax that's generated in Stanley County is generated in our municipalities because that's where most of the businesses are located. If you think about sales tax generation, that is a big item that our municipalities in our county depend upon to make their budgets work. I ask our other commissioners to please take care of all of our citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Eford.
After seeing the numbers and hearing the comments, I'd like to make a motion that we leave our local sales tax distribution as it is now per capita.
Second.
Commissioner Eford made the motion. Commissioner Louder seconded the motion. Are there any other discussion from our sitting commissioners?
I'd just like to say one thing, Mr. Chairman. You said it quite well, but there was a comment made at the last meeting, and there was a reference to if the ad valorem method were to be put in place, that those funds coming back would be coming back, and the reference was it was our money. It is not our money. It is the people's money.
Thank you, Commissioner Louder. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would just like to make a few comments for those here in attendance tonight. It was never the intention of anyone on this board to negatively impact any municipality, any police officer.
Please let Commissioner Burleson speak, please.
I've been respectful to all of you, and I would just ask that in return.
Come on now.
It is a simple discussion that we have had, and it takes us time to go through the process, look at the numbers, do the proper research that we should be doing for everyone in this county. And, over the last week, we have continued to gather information and do research. I think there's still information and research out there to be gathered. As I said, I don't think anyone had the intention to take away anyone's job or to hurt anyone in public safety or some of the other comments that have been made. Was this added, on Monday evening as an agenda item? It was, and we discussed it. I don't think that anyone was prepared to take a full action without any recourse on Monday evening. Over the past week, it has been evident that with the research that we've done, that this is probably not the best route to go. But what I can tell you is that all of you here are concerned citizens and interested, I hope, in moving Stanley County forward. I am certainly interested in doing what is best for all of Stanley County. I am certainly interested in helping our county grow and moving it forward. And I would welcome any ideas or any encouraging words to help do that. As long as we are divisive and disrespectful to one another, that's not going to get anyone anywhere. But I welcome your encouraging words, your prayers, and any positive thoughts you can give us. Thank you.
Any other comments before we vote?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I would like to say, thank you, sir. I would like to say I've talked to many of you, I think more than any of the commissioners up here, because I went back through my phone log and counted my phone calls. I've talked to 173 of you since last Monday night. That does not include emails. Some of those are duplicates. Some people emailed and called. I appreciate those phone calls, and I think, I'm going to go out on a limb, I think I returned every phone call. Did I not? I'm sorry. I see one shaking his head no. Sorry. I apologize. I'll call you tomorrow. I have not responded to all emails. Apparently my emails get around because Mr. Asciuto got one that I didn't send to him, but they're public record, so that's fine. What I stated in most of those emails and what I stated to most of you is that I would not do anything intentionally to break the back of a municipality in this town. And I think I've talked to most of you, and that's what I told you. I either put it in writing or I said it on the phone. I also told you that I felt my responsibility to investigate almost every option for our county. That's why I even led to the discussion of that on Monday night. We needed more data. We didn't have it. The data was terrible when you looked at it. When you looked at those raw numbers, it was terrible. I'll admit it was terrible. It was hurtful to the municipalities. But the problem is I don't think any municipal leader out there would have not discussed it had I come to them and said, I can make you $1.4 million without raising sales tax. And that's all I told you. That's all the data we had. I think it would be your job to go out and investigate that for the people that you serve. And I think that we did a fair job. I do not plan to support this evening. And that's where I've stood, since most of the numbers came in near the end of last week. And that's when I started returning phone calls. But I appreciate all of your phone calls. I appreciate what you do for the county. To answer one question that came up in public comment, Mr. Asciuto, every agenda item does come with an action sheet. I'm not sure that you remember, but I have two tonight for the two budget items or two items that we're talking about. It may not be in the form of a resolution, but it is an action sheet that the chairman will sign when we vote on something. So no matter what comes before this board has an action sheet that the chairman signs either favorably or unfavorably. So I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments from board members?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Since last Monday night, and most of you know that I voted in favor of this, and as they have said, we didn't have all the facts, and we should have. But for the week, I have done a lot of soul searching. I've done some research. Matter of fact, my wife said, are you going to do anything else this week except work on this sales tax? And I said, probably not. And one thing kept coming back to me that's been said here tonight. I became a commissioner in 1998, and ever since then I've heard city council people, municipality council people, heard commissioners of all walks say the same thing that's been said here tonight. If it's good for Stanley County, it's good for the municipalities. If it's good for the municipalities, it's good for Stanley County. This thing right here tonight is not good for Stanley County. So therefore, until it becomes good for Stanley County, it's not good for the municipalities. When this thing becomes good for Stanley County and the municipalities, and we can all share equally, then I might change my mind. But tonight I intend to oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments before we vote?
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
want to say that as of last week's meeting, I think you knew where I stood then, and I did not waver. And that is where I'll stand tonight with the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Morgan.
I'd just like to say that when this was brought to our attention originally, we were told that this had to be decided by April 30th. And you're correct, we did not have all the information. That's why that was tabled at that time. And as it was mentioned before, when somebody comes to you and say, hey, there's $1.4 million out there, you have to stop. It's our job. That's why we're elected, represent everyone in Stanley County, to at least look at that. We never said we were voting one way or the other, but it is our job to investigate this amount of money. And it's our job to look and start planning for the future. If we don't plan for the future right now, then we're going to fall behind. I know this has scared a lot of people. I've talked to many people on the phone. My voicemail is completely full still. And I've returned calls, and I've met with people. And what I met with Chief Lambert from Baden Wednesday morning, and I told him that I would never vote for anything that's going to put any police department out of business. Any town, we're not in the put a town out of business. That's not our job. Our job. So I just want to say, folks, that this was our job, was to investigate this, and I don't believe at this time that we should go any further with this, and leave it at that for now.
Okay, I believe the motion on the floor that Commissioner Eford made was to leave the distribution of sales tax dollars the way they are currently being distributed, and I believe that is per capita. It was seconded by Commissioner Louder. We've had our discussion, and I'm going to ask all in favor of leaving the sales tax dollar distribution the way it is currently being distributed. Please raise your hand. I believe that is a 7-0 vote. And that motion passes. Local sales tax distribution will remain as it currently is being distributed.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask for a brief recess to allow some folks that want to leave to leave.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess. I call this meeting back to order, and item number 2 is the sheriff office, the purchase of a new K-9 that is associated with the budget. And I'm going to recognize our Sheriff George T. Burris. I see Sheriff Burris here somewhere. Sheriff Burris, you're on.
Good evening. How is everybody? Wonderful. Yes, sir. Good to see you. My business is very, very quick. We've got on the agenda, we had to retire Jabez a week or so ago due to veterinarian saying he's just bad and out of shape. We have found a new dog that's from our recent trainer in Wingate, and getting it from him and doing it in-house, we can save $4,000 compared to last year. And we get this dog fully trained, handler trained, and all the bells and whistles for $13,500 plus tax, which is roughly $14,000 and some change. I've already had Matt come down and seen the dog. He's a 13-month-old Malinois German Shepherd mix. Excellent dog, just like the previous one we have. So I'm just here tonight to answer any questions you all may have and to hopefully move forward.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any questions of Sheriff George Burris about the canine?
How old did you say the dog was? 14 months?
13 months.
13 months, okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, how soon will this dog, if you were able to purchase it, will it be commissioned and working?
He is in training right now. Currently, he is almost halfway done with his training. We are doing evaluations for canine handlers next week. I've actually had 4 apply to be a canine handler, which is wonderful. So we should be having them on the road instead of the previous dog. It took 4 or 5 months. This dog should be patrol ready within 2 to 3. So a lot faster turnover.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, how old was the last dog? Jabez?
Jabez.
How old was that dog?
We think he was roughly 6 years old, maybe a little older. Okay. The vet thinks he might have been a tad bit older than that.
Okay.
So he just went downhill.
I was just curious the amount of years that you possibly get out of.
Yes, sir. We've been getting about 8 years out of them. And just to give y'all a heads up, I do have a dog on patrol right now that is 7.5. So I've got another one going to be coming up.
Mr. Chairman, I've noticed that even guide dogs don't last but about 7 or 8 years. Most service dogs, don't last. They work pretty hard.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I don't think there's any other questions or concerns. I would move to recognize the funds in our budget and appropriate them for the purchase of the new K-9 for the sheriff's office.
First by Vice Chairman Burleson, second by Commissioner Swain. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this purchase, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank y'all so much. Have a great night.
What's the dog's name, Sheriff?
Cato.
Cato?
Cato. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, we need a closed session to consult with the county attorney in accordance with GS 143-318.11A3.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into closed session.
Second.
A motion and a second, we go into closed session. All in favor, please say aye. Okay, let's go in closed session.